Jerry Jeudy to the Indianapolis Colts. So you got to start with Jerry Jeudy. I mean, if you've paid any sort of attention to the trade deadline buzz or any sort of trade buzz that's been going on over the past few weeks, then you've heard about Jerry Jeudy and his possibility of heading out of Denver. Denver, they've been reported to have a potential fire sale coming at the NFL trade deadline. And they've got some pieces that could definitely be moved to other teams. And it seems like right now that Jerry Jeudy is probably the most likely to move. Definitely the most likely to move. Sutton kind of started out as the favorite, but it seems like Jerry Jeudy will be on the move at the deadline. Reportedly, the talks with the Colts have moved past just exploratory talks, and they've actually started to pick up a decent amount. So the Colts could end up with a former first-round wide receiver out of Alabama. But it's hard to make a case for Jerry Jeudy. Don't get me wrong. Like if you've been paying attention to this podcast, paying attention to football, you saw the whole Steve Smith ordeal that happened just a few weeks ago when Steve Smith called him out on the air. And Jerry Jeudy, as Steve Smith's doing a sideline report later on in the pregame, he's kind of bobbing his head in the background and screaming on national television. And I told you before the podcast, that might have turned off like 25 teams that think that he might be a head case. But he could be gotten at a discount now because of all those concerns. And you got to say that the talent is there. I mean, this guy was drafted as a first-round wide receiver out of Alabama. The talent is there. It's just a matter of if he can put it together on the field, if he can get his confidence all put together. It's a question mark. But if the Colts take a chance, it would make some sense. They got Josh Downs, who's looking like a great pick so far from this year's past draft. They've got him coming out of the slot, beat out Isaiah McKenzie for that job. So they seem like they got the slot wide receiver position down. But do you think it's fair enough to call Alec Pierce a bust on the outside yet? Like, I think that we're starting to lean into that territory.
I mean, he's a second-round pick. So, like, to say that he's a bust, like, the expectations weren't super high for Alec Pierce. Like, I don't think, like, if they got...
As a second-round pick, though, that's decent draft capital.
He had a nice catch on Sunday. I'll say that. But there have been... I mean, this has not exactly been a situation that's been ideal for wide receivers here in Indianapolis since he got here. He had Matt Ryan... for the majority of it was kind of a disaster last Sam Ellinger, and then coming in this year, he's had a different quarterback pretty much every other game. It's been Anthony Richardson, then Gardner Minshew, then Anthony Richardson, then Gardner Minshew. So it's had a little bit of instability there. Also, they have drafted a guy like Josh Downs who's getting some targets here as well, and not to mention this is a generally run-centered team. So from a production standpoint, I get it, just on the Alec Pierce thing. But as far as Jeudy goes, I think adding him here definitely adds another element to this offense. This definitely also feels like a next year move. Because this year, I don't think the Colts are really pushing their chips in with Anthony Richardson done for the year. Gardner Minshew had a pretty rough outing last Sunday. So I think the confidence of okay, well, he's one of the best backups in the league or the best backup in the league or whatever might be a little bit shaky right now. But I still think adding a guy like Jerry Jeudy, who we've seen at points in time, could be a really good wide receiver. I understand he may have some off-the-field stuff, but I feel like he's been in trade rumors for forever now, and I feel like they could be getting a really good wide receiver at a discount here.
Yeah, they could be, for sure. And as I said, I'm a Pierce fan. I've got him in Dynasty, actually a couple of Dynasty leagues, so I'm a Pierce fan. But if you're looking for an outside receiver to contribute right now, because Michael Pittman's produced, Josh Downs has produced, there are wide receivers that are producing in this offense, and Alec Pierce isn't. I don't want to make this an Alec Pierce schmear campaign, but I could see the fit for Jerry Jeudy on the outside there. And we saw from Jerry Jeudy last year, people forget, he got 100 targets last year, which not a lot of wide receivers do. He got 972 yards and 6 touchdowns. So he wasn't that bad last year. And this is, mind you, with the Russell Wilson show experience that we got last year. So, and in 2021, he had Teddy Bridgewater. In his rookie year, he had Drew Lock. So he really hasn't had an opportunity to show what he can do with a good quarterback. Like you said, maybe this makes more sense after this year, because then you have Anthony Richardson. And because if you're going to Gardner Minshew, it's just much of the same story. But maybe they trade for him now, and then you got the last year of his deal next year, so they can play that out and see what happens. But